All right, so we're back here with Paper War. The last time you checked this out, we did the Great American Bash from Father's Day. It was June 18th, 95. So now we're doing the counterpart for WWE, which was F at the time for the Federation, and we have the King of the Ring. I speak to you solemnly because this show is awful. And we watched it for the sake of you people. If you have the chance to watch this show,
Please don't.
don't. Save yourself. Just watch us instead, and then you'll get the gist of it. So 95 King of the Ring, it's from June 25th at the Core State Spectrum in Philadelphia. The attendance actually was 16,500. The crowd was hot.
Crowd's hot. We're Philly.
Right in the middle of Philly, yep.
Yeah, that's probably why.
And the buy rate on pay-per-view is 150,000 because King of the Ring always sells.
Yeah, it's a little. The gate was a little bit paper here. They announced it as a sellout. It was really there were at least 5,000 seats that weren't sold here. The whole upper deck was really tarped off. So.
All right. Well, I mean, they announced it as 16,500, but
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, of course. So we open the show up. It's the WWF Blimp. It's over Philly, so you have the Philly skyline coming into this show just to show that it's, Americana.
Well, I really like the way that they used to do that.
Yeah.
The way that they used to set the scene for the pay-per-view. They don't really do that anymore.
They don't do it at all.
I really liked it. Made it seem like more of an event.
It was an event because every pay-per-view was a spectacle. It made you feel like you were getting something special. Nowadays, it's like the same. It's a 3-hour Raw. It's just a Raw that's not on USA. It's the same exact entrance setup and everything. There's no characteristics. Also, shout out to speaking of entrances, on this show with the doors being open for each wrestler, that was the Hardy Boys opening up the doors. It's very young.
What, 15 years old?
Yeah, I guess.
They could have been more than 17.
No, they looked young. Yeah, they had Jeff on the left and Matt on the right opening the door up. You're going to go back and watch this again, Steve?
Maybe for 2 seconds.
So, yeah, it was the Hardy Boys there. So we were going to brush this aside, but in context of the show and how things go, on the Coliseum Home Video, which is the network version on Peacock, you get a bonus match before the show starts, and it's Savio Vega against IRS. It's a pretty basic show, and Savio Vega goes over.
It's like, 3-minute match?
Not even. It's just quick. Savio hits IRS with a spinning kick, whatever the fuck you want to call that type of kick. He just kind of throws himself at him with his leg up.
Mm-hmm.
Match over. Savio goes over clean. IRS just gets buried by a relative newcomer. So then we have the start to the show, and we have our commentators. It's Vince McMahon and Doc Hendricks. Doc Hendricks, I think, big upgrade over his performance at In Your House.
He was like brand new to the company.
He was, but at the first In Your House, I thought he was a little too over the top. This show, I thought Doc Hendricks was highly entertaining.
I think this show he went back to just being Michael Hayes.
He did go back to being Michael Hayes, and the humor we're going to cover in this show that he does is amazing. Yeah. So then we get to the first match of the actual live card, and it's Yokozuna against Savio Vega again. Savio wrestles, so they put a bonus match in on the Coliseum Home Video for him to qualify for the King of the Ring tournament. And now he comes out and wrestles in the first round against Yokozuna. So he just had a match, goes back, start the show, he comes back out. So already the crowd's got Savio Vega twice in the first 20 minutes.
Our lucky fans.
Lucky fans. What do you have for spots in this match? Because there wasn't much to talk about.
There are no spots that really stuck out to me. The only thing that really sticks out is that, again, like I've said in last months, Yoko's just hard to watch here. He really is.
Get that camera on. There we go.
He can't really do much. He can't move. It's Savio pretty much bumping around for him, and then they just go to the finish.
And the finish is Savio is in front of the steps, and Yoko runs at him. He moves out of the way. Yoko hits the steps, and Yoko gets counted out. That's the whole finish. So you don't put Savio over a big guy like that, but he knocks himself silly on the steps. There was a huge pop, though, when Cornette got decked.
People love to hit Cornette.
Right. Also, because they're in Philly, front and center on the hard camera, facing the hard camera, there's Hat Guy, the guy with the straw hat and the Hawaiian T-shirt at like every ECW show. So he's there front and center with his usual crowd of people. And for the most part in this whole show, I was watching him because he was just animated and ripping guys to shreds and talking shit. And they were just a very energetic bunch, the ECW crowd. So, I mean, that's what really saved the show for me as a whole, is just the crowd. If it was anywhere else in the whole country, this would have been a 0-star show.
This was a terror. This was absolutely, we'll get into it with the rest of the matches, but this, if I look back at the history of WWE from 85 to now, this is probably top 3 worst show that they've ever put on as far as pay-per-views.
And I'm pretty sure every wrestling fan is going to agree with you.
Yeah.
That this is top 3 worst shows.
I hope we don't cover another worst show as we go further into 95, but
it's inevitable because we're going to be looking at Starrcade. Anyways, I gave this a 1.5 only because of the crowd, and the match actually made sense.
I gave it a half a star.
Half a star. Yeah, as you're going to see that we both felt differently. This is probably maybe the only show where we're going to be so different in our star ratings, only because we were fishing for things, and it's a weird show to cover because it sucks so bad.
There's going to be more shows like this.
Not like
They're
this.
coming up.
Not like this. Similar, yeah, but not.
Definitely in WCW.
Oh, yeah. So from this match, we go to Jerry Lawler in the back in one of the best spots of the night with his interview, where he's got the nasty discolored sock with the holes in it, and he's got the Lysol can springing up in the air, making faces and wanting to barf.
He's just getting over like how bad his feet smell. Kiss My Foot match coming
With
up.
Brett,
For weeks he's been like soaking his foot in manure, and like he's spraying like spray around.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's a good Lawler segment.
It was so stupid.
It's a good Lawler
This
segment.
happened. This is so stupid. They made a Kiss My Foot match.
The only thing
they put Bret Hart into this.
They did put Bret Hart into this, but you want to know something? Is that a few Raws before this? I think it might be the Raw right after In Your House. Bret comes down to ringside and gets in Lawler's face and actually cuts the first Bret Hart promo where he's swearing on live TV.
I mean, Bret ended up being a great promo. So.
He didn't have a good promo on this show, but he got in Lawler's face, and he called him a chicken shit on live TV on USA Network in '95.
I think he really did believe that in real life.
Well, yeah.
I don't think he really liked working with Lawler.
No, he didn't. So we have the Lawler spot, and then we go straight to the next match, and it's another round 1 of the King of the Ring, and it's the Roadie against Bob Sparkplug Holly. What do you got here, Steve?
I like this match. It was like a fast-paced match with 2 guys who could move a little bit.
The whole beginning of the match, they were moving at 100 miles an hour.
They were. And then I think they kind of slowed down. They kind of blew up a little bit after that. But, you could still tell here that Roadie was going to be a big star.
Yep.
You know, I couldn't really tell with Bob Holly. He still kind of looked like, the race car driver. I couldn't really tell that he was going to be a star.
You could tell that he knew how to wrestle and put on a good match, but you couldn't tell that he was going to be a character to put over.
Sure, he was never like a Barry Horowitz or anything like that. But I always liked Bob Holly. Like that, even that little gimmick I thought was fine.
He made you believe that he actually was a race car driver.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good. So, I mean, also in this match, in terms of power bombs in 1995 on American mainstream wrestling, you didn't have really great power bombs. You had people dropping people. The Roadie had maybe the power bomb of the year in this match, where he actually went down with them, and it was nice. And it looked like a high impact power bomb. Not like a Diesel or Sid picked you up.
This fucking bump.
Yeah, just take this me dropping you from 7 feet up in the air.
Good luck.
Good luck. The finish of the match, though, is kind of confusing. So Roadie goes over Bob Holly, but it didn't appear that it was a legitimate 3 count because Bob Holly got his shoulder up in time, but the referee counted 3 anyways, and it was like there was just confusion at the end of the match. But, that was I rated it low because of the finish. I thought the finish would have been better if it was a clean finish, and I would have given it a full star, but I gave it a half a star.
I gave it 2. I like.
You gave it 2 stars?
Yeah. This. You know what it was? Is like there's a couple matches on the show that I think stand out to me, just because they don't have Savio and Mabel in them.
Yeah.
I think like the third time watching this through, I was like, man, everyone else just looks so good right now because they're not Mabel.
Well, I mean, I also have a hard time rating these matches because they're so short because they're King of the Ring matches.
There were a lot of matches on the show.
Yeah, and they were just so short. I have a difficult time getting a grasp of what wrestlers are trying to do and to put over. I mean, they're just quick little matches.
Yep.
So we have half and 2 stars.
Mm-hmm.
So already we're very contrasting from normal. So we have an HBK interview in the back. This is the beginning of HBK's big baby face push. Like the very beginning. He just came back like a week or 2 prior from being out with a back injury from Psycho Sid powerbombing him 3 times after Mania 11. Mm-hmm. HBK comes back, qualifies for King of the Ring by beating King Kong Bundy cleanly on Monday Night Raw. Weird. A little pipsqueak HBK over King Kong.
I love it.
It was good. So we have HBK promo in the back, and if you watch the network version, and you can confirm this on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, is HBK coming out. He comes out to his normal music and everything, and he goes up to where the crown and scepter and the cape is, and he puts the crown on, and the crown is way too big for his head. Like they've already measured it for the winner, and it's not going to be Shawn. So him and Bruce kind of trade hats because Bruce Pritchard's sitting right there where the crown is. So it's all edited out on the network. So when HBK makes his entrance, his song's already like halfway through, and he's already like almost at the ring. So it's a little confusing to see that. So if you notice that, that's what happened. So in the version that you watch on Peacock, that's what it's going to be. Also, too, I noticed that HBK gives the hard cam a couple kisses. Did you notice that? He looked like he was on some pills. He was just...
that was Shawn in that period.
Right, yeah, but he was
low.
like, his face looked half cocked, and he gave a few to the hard camera, so... That was one of the high spots for me.
Yeah, that's Shawn Michaels in 95, 96.
Absolutely. More 95. 96, he was more clean cut. Yeah, company guy.
A little more, very flamboyant, though.
Yeah. Charismatic and flamboyant, in the words of Vince McMahon. And there's big pops in this match. I mean, the crowd was definitely here to see a couple guys wrestle for sure, and Shawn Michaels was one of them. And they hung on everything Shawn did in the match.
I mean, I think this was really... I mean, Shawn was not that great, but he was really...
Shawn made him look good.
Yeah. 95 Shawn Michaels was really like it was really the pinnacle of Shawn Michaels' career in the ring. I mean, he kept... Obviously, he got better as he kept going, but young Shawn Michaels, like before his back injury, this was the best he saw in that period in 95.
In 95, absolutely. Personally, I think the best version of Shawn Michaels was that 3-month span at the end of 97, right before he got the back injury.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But this version of Shawn Michaels, I mean, his selling is on the next level.
Athleticism was really good.
Right,
really,
and he
really
is just bumping all over the ring for Kama, who looks lost for half the match. Yeah. And, I mean, it's a solid match.
I think the crowd was really into it. It was a good athletic match. It just didn't really have... It's just the ending kind of fell flat.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a second. So, halfway through the match, there's Joe Frazier, because the pace of the match is kind of slow, because they're going for the whole time on this. Yeah. There's a 15-minute time limit for King of the Ring matches, just to keep that in mind. So, they show Joe Frazier to take up some time. He's sitting there towards the end of the match when there's like 2.5 or 3 minutes left of the time limit. HBK goes up and over. Teddy DiBiase stomps him, sends him back in the ring. There's Michaels' comeback, but neither guy could put the other away, and the finish of the match is a time limit draw, so neither guy advances in the King of the Ring tournament, which I think is bullshit that you have HBK not advancing this show.
I mean, I understand why they didn't, because I think the crowd would have shit all over if Mabel beat Shawn in the finals, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. But yeah, I think they just wanted Shawn away because just to focus a little more on Mabel, and you didn't want Shawn to lose that much because you were still pushing him for the future.
What if, now hear me out, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20 when it comes to booking.
Yeah.
Hear me out, because with Michaels and Kama doing the time limit draw, neither guy advancing, Mabel gets a bye into the finals. So Shawn Michaels would not have wrestled Mabel in the finals.
Okay,
would have
so
been
he'd wrestle
in the
him in the next round.
semifinals.
Yeah.
He would wrestle him in the next round. Now, to play over how big Mabel is, and Michaels just came back from an injury that Sid gave him, why wouldn't you do like an angle or something where Mabel hit him with that big slam, goes over him, but now Michaels isn't moving. So now you're on Michaels again, and paramedics have to come out, and now he's off TV for a little bit. He comes back even more of a baby face. I mean, that's just how maybe you could have booked it like that, but
I don't think they wanted to do that.
They didn't want to do that.
Because I think they already did that with Sid. Like, they already had Sid, they already had Sid lay him out, and I don't think they wanted to do that again.
The problem, though, if you go back and watch that period of Sid laying him out, right before Sid lays him out, Shawn Michaels is in his face, poking him in his chest. Like, Shawn Michaels is being a straight-up heel.
Shawn was always a heel, no matter what he did.
Right, but I mean like a heel.
Yeah.
Where you agreed with Sid powerbombing him the 3 times. Diesel comes out and gets Sid out of the ring, helps Shawn. You don't see Shawn at all until he comes back. Yeah. How is he a babyface? Like, at what point do we say, you know what, let's root for Shawn because Sid gave him 3 powerbombs? No, he fucking deserved it. I think if you did what I just said, if you did what I just said, it maybe would have cemented it. But like I said, hindsight's always 20/20. But I mean, the time limit draw is bullshit, but it is what it is. I gave it a 1.5 stars.
I loved it. 4 stars. This was the best thing on the show by a mile.
4 stars. The best thing on the show by a mile.
By a mile.
Is the 15-minute slow time limit draw.
What the show was all about. But this was leaps and bounds above every other match.
It was a great wrestling match. I just 1.5 stars for me because in terms of just watching it.
In terms of booking, really bad decision.
Right, and just in sequence with the show, I felt like the match fit right in with everything right before it, so I gave it a 1.5 stars because it was on pace to be like the same kind of shit. So from there, we get a Undertaker and Mabel recap because that match is coming up in a bit, so we get to see why they're squaring off in the first round. And we go to Bob Backlund in Philly campaigning for his presidency. And this is just absolute fucking lunacy, having Bob Backlund, A, in a segment, and B, without a script.
I love it. I love Bob Backlund. I love everything he does.
I love him next to that statue, and he goes, "This is John Barry." No, not Marion Barry. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That was, Bob Backlund with an open mic is dangerous.
It is very, you don't know what you're going to get. There's 2 guys who never should have an open mic, and that's Bob Backlund and the Iron Sheik. And unfortunately, we get both of them together with a live mic in 1 year's time. So we come back from that, and we get Mabel and the Undertaker. One thing you will notice, though, is that you could tell this is another guy that the crowd's here for is Undertaker, because when the gong hits for him to come out, there's a big fucking pop.
Yeah, definite. I mean, Undertaker, even in this, at this time, was such a super character, and really he was over like crazy.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
really. He had such a presence to him too.
Oh, it's because the way he walked out, and he was great. The character.
Nobody else could pull that character off.
No. Even when he got a little more aggressive, which they made mention in this match, when he started to change his style just a little bit, he got a little more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he just made subtle tweaks and changes, and you always bought into what he was doing.
Great, absolutely.
So you have
poor Taker. That's what I wrote down on my notes. Poor Taker.
This is probably the lowest rated Taker match
This or the Giant Gonzalez match.
Well, luckily we're not covering that, so on the sake of our series, this is the lowest rated.
Taker would just have these. There was like this period of time where they just put him in with the worst possible people, and they would be like, "All right, dude, see what you can get." And he'd go out there and just like, and it would suck. He'd have to come back and be like, "What the fuck were you guys thinking? Like, when the fuck are you going to give me an actual wrestler to get in there with?"
Well, that'll happen at the Royal Rumble in '96.
Yeah, and I think even more when Foley debuts, where now he has like an actual good program of worker.
Yeah, because most of '96 is dominated by Undertaker and Mankind.
That was one of the best feuds of all time.
Absolutely. So Mabel gets gas quick in this match. It's tough to watch. Undertaker's moving like the Undertaker, which is awesome, but whenever he whips Mabel into a corner or into the ropes, Mabel just kind of walks. So again, booking in this show. Let's book this fat sloppy guy to come out multiple times and shit. So
I think that's why they don't really do King of the Ring anymore.
They could do the King of the Ring. They've done it previously in recent years, and it's been good. I don't know.
think they want like guys having 4 matches on the show.
You have to pick the right ones.
Now it'd probably work a lot better.
It would work a lot better. It would be believable. You could buy into it.
But you would still have to have workers that have different matches each time. Like Brett in '93 had a different match each guy that he worked with that night. Where you can't have like guys having 4 matches in the same night. And all right, we're just gonna have the same match that we have, just a different opponent over and over.
Yeah, I'm not to agree with that because the roster now,
everybody works the same, and
they work the same.
Everybody
the same because they all just want to be Shawn Michaels.
Well, they're all taught by the same people.
Right, Shawn Michaels.
So, cut the same promo and work the same way. And let's do these near falls.
That's right. Hangman Adam Page is our savior in wrestling.
I love that.
I love it. So you get a ref bump towards the end, knocks the ref out. Kama comes in. Colt cocks the Undertaker. Mabel gets up, hits a leg drop. Referee comes over with the slowest championship count to get Mabel over on the Undertaker. And that's the end of the match. Mabel goes over the Undertaker. So let me just drive this point home. You have a King of the Ring tournament with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker both in the tournament. Neither one of them go over, but you have Savio Vega, the Roadie, and Mabel all going over in the show.
They certainly had a plan.
It wasn't a good one. I gave this many stars. 0.
1 star, because Taker worked hard. He did. Taker worked his ass off in matches like this.
You gave him the merit star?
Yeah. Because I felt bad for him, really.
I didn't feel bad for him. He knew what he was getting into.
Taker.
Oh, man. So this is at a different time because we go to the next segment where the Hall of Fame didn't happen at WrestleMania weekend. It happened at King of the Ring. So we have the Hall of Fame recap. You got guys like Ivan Putski going in.
This was pretty good.
It was entertaining. He was singing a song, and that was interesting. Everyone's clapping along.
Yeah.
It's a little recap on that. And then we go straight into the first match of the second round, and it's Savio Vega against the Roadie. And this is actually right before the Roadie enters, him and Jeff Jarrett are in the back, and this is the first mention ever of the Roadie being called the Road Dogg.
Yeah, I didn't really pick up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense around that time.
They picked it up a couple times, and Vince McMahon called him the self-proclaimed Road Dogg. So it's just, this is a good match, sort of. I mean, the crowd's a little lost to it because they're trying to comprehend Shawn and Taker not going over in their respective matches.
Really, strange. Strange.
Also, if you have, I don't know. I mean, you could have had, why wouldn't you just have Undertaker go over on Mabel and have Shawn win with the $1 Million Corporation interfering, and then why wasn't Shawn Michaels King of the Ring?
Good question. Fair. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know logic in WWE around 95.
I mean, neither one of these guys could have.
I think Vince really loved Mabel.
He did love
Or I
Mabel.
really
If you
think-
listen to Bruce Pritchard's podcast, like Vince gushed
I did.
over Mabel.
I did listen to that show.
And Mo. Mabel and Mo, they love both guys.
Yeah. You thought
Sir
Mabel
Mo,
was
I
gonna
did.
be a huge star. Look at this son of a bitch. Look how big he is.
Little did we know he couldn't work for shit.
I don't think Vince cared about that. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I'll throw him in with some faces. Like, we'll do something.
He did have cool looking bad teeth.
Mabel had a cool look.
He did.
Then the bell rang.
And the bell rang. So this match, it's a little lost. It's a snail's pace. I mean, it's a lame finish. The best spot of the match is the post-match where they have one of the Spanish commentators interview Savio Vega, and Doc Hendricks goes over and translates.
That was
and
great. Yeah,
his translation was just some of the best. He's just standing at the microphone, and he's like, I have no idea how I got here.
I'm scared to death.
I'm scared to death.
He had like a botched interference from Jarrett cost Road Dogg the match.
Yep.
And Savio won.
Yep.
That's really all there was to it.
Then we go back to a Brett promo.
What do you give that match?
Oh, yeah, 0 stars. I just went over that quickly just to get by it. That's 0.
I give it 1.
Who got the merit for this one?
No, not there. It was decent. It's just a bad finish. Guys, it was like a 3-minute match.
0 stars. 3 stars.
Now we get Brett and Lawler.
1 star, sorry. Well, we got a Brett promo.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. He stumbled through it. It wasn't...
It was a good face promo, though.
He stumbled. He stumbled through it. It wasn't great.
I mean, it wasn't like the... I think Brett was still working through how to do promos.
Right, it was no
But
97
what he said
Brett.
was fine for me.
Yeah. Lawler's promo on the way to the ring when Stephanie Wyatt grabs him to do a promo. That promo itself is 5 stars. That is awesome.
Lawler was great at getting heat. You just hate him every time he opens his mouth.
Yeah, because he was making like a face, and Stephanie was saying, "What is that smell?" referring to his foot, and he looks her dead in the eye, and he goes, "It must be you." So Lawler against Bret Hart, blow-off match. This match, I thought, in my opinion, was the best match on the card, even
Brett
more
sold
so.
forever for Lawler here. Took 4 pile drivers. Just sold forever. To me, that blow it up. Just do a 5-minute match. Just have him kill Lawler.
Yeah, well, it was a 3-minute. I mean, a 3-pile driver.
Yeah.
Kick out. The step spot wasn't bad on the outside. I mean, that was a good crash in there. I also thought Jerry Lawler was selling everything on like a Shawn Michaels level of selling. He was bumping quite a bit.
Jerry
too.
knows how to beat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Good Burger King chant. Gotta love the 95 Burger King chants. Those are always good. The good sock spot where he takes his boot off and he's got the sock out there. I mean, the match was entertaining as shit, but Akushi interferes, and this time, unlike In Your House, it backfires and costs Lawler the match. But, I mean, the crowd for this match was so hot for Bret Hart that
They wanted Lawler to,
I mean, there was no hotter crowd for any other match in a pay-per-view to this point. Everybody got on their feet when it was time for the sharpshooter, and nobody sat down for 5 minutes. Nobody sat down for 5 minutes. I mean, it was great. You had Hat Guy leaning over the barricade, just ridiculing everybody and everything.
They wanted to see Lawler kiss Bret's feet. That's what 95 was.
Absolutely, and that saved the match. For me, I gave this match 3 stars.
I got 2.5.
2.5, so we're pretty close on this.
Yeah.
That it just had a good match feel to it. And that
was
was
more probably something I would do on a Raw, though. That was my only gripe.
Yeah.
But Bret was wasting his time doing a 3-year program with Lawler, though.
And it just gets worse because SummerSlam is around the corner. We're going to have that dentist visit.
Yeah.
That's who Brett wrestles at SummerSlam. We'll get there.
Isaac Yankum.
So 3 stars, 2.5 for Brett and Lawler. And then after that, we get a Special Olympics plug, which I thought was nice. That was a good little segment. And they come back from that, and we have King of the Ring finals.
The finals. Finally.
And if you lost track, it's Savio Vega for the 4th time in front of this crowd against Mabel. This match went far too long.
Yeah, they don't really do much.
They didn't do much at all.
Yeah.
Mabel couldn't do much because he was gassed after 30 seconds with The Undertaker.
Well, after the match, he couldn't even talk. Mo talked the whole time.
Mo talked the whole time. Actually, I thought Mo was great getting heat for the whole thing. Every time, so this is written down here because, like I said, I spent a lot of this show watching Hat Guy in the front row, front and center. Every time Mo got to that side of the ring, Hat Guy was berating the shit out of him. I mean, berating the shit out of him. He's on his feet, leaning over the rail, pointing at him, screaming. that was entertaining.
I wonder where Hat Guy is now.
I don't know. I hope he's doing okay. I hope he's watching us. So there was a spot, I was surprised by this spot where Mabel gets clotheslined over the top rope. And Mabel actually didn't look half bad doing it. He didn't get hurt.
The crowd was kind of into Savio.
Yeah, I noticed that
They
he had
were.
some pops.
They wanted him to win. Like, after this match, there was a lot of heat because I think they really wanted Savio.
Yeah, we're going to get there in a second. There's 2 step spots outside, one against each guy, so each guy crashed into the steps. I thought that was kind of cool. But what really killed the match for me was 2 very lengthy bear hug spots, which is really
all Mabel could
that's
really
all
do.
he could do at this point was just stand still and give a hug. So, I mean, it's just, it goes on. The first one goes on forever. They break out of it, and then he goes back into a second one. It's just too much. At this point, the crowd doesn't care about the match with the bear hugs. They just go silent. I even see Hat Guy. He gets up and gets a beer, comes back, and the bear hug is still going. ECW chants happen, and then
Throughout the show.
More so in this match.
Yeah.
It was a very, very loud ECW
They
chant.
were bored.
They were very bored. But we do get the 1, 2, 3 kid coming out of nowhere towards the end of this match. There was a big schmoz in the ring after the match was over.
Yeah.
And
Like he came back from injury.
he did. So Razor gets shut down coming in the ring because they kept attacking Savio. And then 1, 2, 3 kid comes out and he gets shut down. And it's basically just a big Mabel show. And Mabel's getting garbage thrown at his face. I mean, there's even this spot where he's sitting on the throne after he has the crown on. He gets hit square in the face with a piece of paper, and the look on his face is so upsetting. He's just like, oh, man.
I thought throwing the garbage at him was great.
It was a great visual. And when Mo was speaking, he was taking his time speaking from that scroll. I mean, the crowd was about to riot.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't get out of there
heat.
quick. Yeah. So that was cool. I mean, as I watched it, the match itself, I gave it a 0. But now that we just went over it and talked about the post-match and how much heat there was,
The post-match was a little bit better, yeah.
I give this a half a star.
I gave it a star.
A star.
Just because Mo was great.
Mo was great. I mean, he was getting a lot of heat around the ring, and especially on the stage there
Men on a mission.
with the whole crowd. Mom, yes.
Yeah.
Whatever mission that was, I don't know.
I don't know.
They never really
They never
completed
fulfilled the
it.
mission.
So let's see here. We get Lawler in the bathroom brushing his teeth and puking in the sink after having to kiss Brett's
This was
foot.
probably the best thing on the show.
And he also had his own foot shoved in his mouth at the end too, because we forgot to say that Brett put Lawler's own foot into his mouth.
Yeah.
That nasty sock.
This was the best thing on the show.
It was like an Ace Ventura moment where he has the plunger on his face.
brushing his teeth and
Yep.
pouring toothpaste in his mouth.
Then we cut back to the back, and it's Stephanie Wyatt with Ted DiBiase, Psycho Sid, and Tatanka. I think all 3 guys cut a promo, and I thought all 3 guys cut great promos.
I thought too. I thought this was probably one of Sid's best promos. He talked about how he injured Diesel's elbow, and it really, to me, that was like the whole story of the main.
Mm-hmm.
Was like they actually had some kind of
direction.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
they were like focusing on Diesel's elbow, like, hey, I'm gonna go get your elbow again. You know, that's where I'm going, and they did it throughout the match.
They did do it throughout the match.
Like, that was actually, decent for Sid and Diesel.
Yeah, but the promo, it just the way the camera was on Sid, how Sid was facing. I mean, everything just about Sid with his presence, and he didn't stumble over any words. And then having Tatanka actually cut a promo, and it made sense, and it was good.
Yeah.
And DiBiase just being DiBiase. I mean, that was just I enjoyed the segment.
They asked Tatanka, can he talk?
Yeah, yeah, they did. Because I don't recall him really talking that much before.
No, he didn't really. That was just a great line to me. Like, hey, he's interviewing all three of them. Hey, can he talk? Can Tatanka talk?
So then we cut back to the back. Diesel promo with Bam Bam.
The one thing I did like about Diesel here was for 95, he had a really different promo than anybody because he was just really quiet and soft-spoken.
Oh, he was Big Daddy Cool.
Yeah, he did not scream or anything like that. He did a little bit as time went on, like when he got to like WCW, a little bit more. But here he was so cool.
Diesel power.
Yeah, definitely.
But, I mean, his promo here, he called Tatanka Pocahontas. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then Bam Bam had a good promo. It was a regular Bam Bam promo. So, you're getting into the match. You're kind of pumped to see the match now because you had good promos each side. The entrances come out, and then the bell rang.
Yeah, there wasn't much to this match. No, it was just kind of just to further the feud a little bit more and subjects us to more Sid and Diesel.
I want to touch base on Bam Bam Bigelow's entrance gear at this point in time. What the fuck?
I just love Bam Bam. He never got the run that he should have got in WWE. But he didn't get along. He wasn't a big favorite backstage, and I know he had a lot of problems with the Clique.
A lot of problems with the Clique.
They never pushed him.
And they're well documented too, so they don't have to go far on the internet to pull them up.
Wow. I wouldn't go close to Bam Bam if I was Sean. No, I wouldn't really want to mess with...
I don't want to mess with anybody that has just flames tattooed on their head.
Yeah, and you're, 350 and you can move really well.
Really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can
move.
move.
One of the best big men to ever work.
350 pounds and you move just as well as Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
So
Bam Bam was great. He really was. Definitely one of the biggest guys that they've missed on to me.
Yeah. They hit him good with ECW when he went there.
Yeah.
He had a good run there.
Yeah. And then you put him in the ring with LT. That's what everybody remembers him for. So, that was a really big match, and it still surprises me. Like, LT had a match. Let's put him in there with Bam Bam.
Bam Bam made him look good.
He did.
They made him look good.
Made him look great.
So the crowd is dead for the first 5 minutes of this match, but they come alive for a Bam Bam tag. You don't get much out of this first bit of the match. You do have another Sid face where he makes this exasperated face when he does like a sit down and no one's home, and he's just kind of like wide-eyed again. You have a very good diving headbutt from Bam Bam. And there's also, at one point, I think Sid does it to Bam Bam Bigelow. He gives him a second rope choke slam.
Yep.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I have to go back when we put the clip in. I'll put down that who it really was right here because I think it was Sid choke slamming Bam Bam. There's after that though. There's no pace at all of the match. It's a very slow pace.
Mm-hmm.
There's a double down. But there's a double down, too, that didn't really even need to happen. That killed the match, too. Another ECW chant at this point because the crowd's bored.
They were done with the show by now.
Diesel gets a hot tag. Nobody cared. And basically the finish of the match was Diesel jackknifed Tatanka, went to pin him. At a count of 2, he pulled him up. And then motioned to Sid that he wanted Sid. Sid just fucking left. He said, fuck this, and he just left.
Yeah.
And then Diesel then says something to him, walks back over to Tatanka, and pins him for the 3.
Such a burial on the top.
Yeah. He goes from cutting the best promo of his career to just getting absolutely buried. I give this match 0 stars.
Yeah,
A half a star. Why? Because of Bam Bam?
I mean, it wasn't terrible, like as in terrible to watch. Like it was better than Mabel matches, but it was just kind of there. There wasn't much that happened. They were just taking up time.
Well, I mean, this match had a different kind of heat, I think, just because the crowd hated the fucking match.
At X-Pac heat.
Yeah. Is that when Sid was leaving, he was getting pelted with garbage, too.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't think the fans liked how the match was just going, and he was leaving, and they felt
like
a little confused.
It
was an awful finish. What was Dave Meltzer's line that you have written down there about this show as a whole?
The best line I've ever read. Bad enough that when it ended 11 minutes early, nobody complained.
Nobody complained. I was actually happy.
By the way, Observer readers, thumbs up. They had 15 thumbs up, thumbs down 206, and 19 in the middle. So roughly about 85% thought this was a terrible show. I agree.
I agree too. So
we should do a show on the worst WWE pay-per-views of all time. I don't know that many that were worse than this.
I mean,
maybe like December to Dismember.
Could be.
Maybe.
So going back in June of '95, we did the Great American Bash. Mm-hmm. That ended up being, we both gave that 3 stars.
Yeah.
Now, it was going up against this show. I gave this show 3/4 of a star rating as all.
Yeah, as all, I give it
a half a star. So 3/4 and a half.
Yeah, this was one of the worst shows.
So, because we don't have Slamboree up, so you can't really tell, but In Your House won May of '95. So that was a point for the World Wrestling Federation. And now in June, WCW won the month, and that's a point for them. So they've just traded off monthly pay-per-view victories here, which I think is good.
It's good to see them both kind of trading victories here.
Right. And it's just 95 in a nutshell how inconsistent booking was with everybody.
Yeah, and, we're kind of in a lull here until the Monday Night Wars start up, and then things do start to take off.
Yep, which is going to happen soon.
Yeah, I got a couple
months. So
next month we have Bash at the Beach.
Bash at the Beach. So we're going to get to that next week, and that'll be for the July of '95.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Bash at the Beach, main event, Hulk Hogan in a steel cage with Big Van Vader.
On the beach.
On the beach. That's what we're talking about. So we'll see you next time, and we'll see if we get a clear-cut winner like we've had these past 2 shows for the month of July. So remember to subscribe and hit the notification button so you can see whenever we drop a new video. Typically, we're going to drop on Wednesdays or Thursdays. So we'll catch you next time.